Hello you lot, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today it's still Veganuary, so I'm doing another vegan recipe. I'm actually revisiting the Greggs vegan steak bake that I failed to replicate a couple of weeks ago. I've got some new ideas that I think will work better. So before we start, quick shout out to Mick Watson, who's been binge watching both of my channels and is now a Patreon superfan. Thank you, Mick, much appreciated, and Mrs. KeefCooks sends her love as well. Thank you. Now then, veganism, not my favourite thing. Obviously, I'm a carnivore. I've got no intention of changing that. I'm very comfortable with eating meat, and I know all of the ethical arguments and everything, and I know that I'm very probably in the wrong, but I'm not bothered. You know, the world is a cruel and brutal place. Anyway, I'm witching. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, etc. And without further ado, let's do it. So just a quick recap if you haven't watched my previous thing about the Greggs vegan steak slice. Greggs is a huge high street bakery chain. They've introduced a vegan version of their steak slice, and in my previous video I tried one and then had a go at replicating it. My copy didn't work very well at all, so that's why I'm having another go. For the meat replacement I used TVP, textured vegetable protein, which is made from soy, and that was pretty nasty. But the actual Greggs one is made with Quorn, which is grown from a fungus or a mould. So this isn't exactly what they use. It's in their version it's been specially developed because this contains rehydrated free-range egg. I don't know why, but obviously that's not vegan. However, and yeah, if you are a proper vegan, leave now, because I don't believe in it and I'm going to make mistakes and you're going to be upset, alright? So anyway, let's get on with it. Let's make our filling. So I need to finely dice this onion. So I've got a glug of vegetable oil in the frying pan, and we'll just heat that up onto medium-low. And when it's warmed up a bit, we'll add the diced onion and let that cook for about 5 minutes without browning. Then we'll add the packet of Quorn. This is 500 grams, and you cook it from frozen. I should have maybe just used half the pack. There's a lot of Quorn there. Right, I'm going to add a bit of water. Okay, I just had a little taste, and it's it doesn't really taste of a whole lot. It's slightly meaty, but needs a lot more seasoning and stuff. But the texture is interesting. Those clumps are about the same size of chunks of beef that you get in the Greggs original beef steak slice. I think maybe a bit smaller. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of yeast extract, or you could use Marmite or something like that. I'm just looking at the label. It says suitable for vegetarians. It doesn't mention vegans, but that's what I'm using anyway. And a bit of soy sauce and maybe some salt and pepper. Okay, that's kind of nice. I'm going to stop cooking it now because it feels like the Quorn is starting to disintegrate. What it really needs is gravy, so I'll make that up now. I need another onion, and I'll saute that in quite a bit of oil. But when we cook the onions this time, we can brown them a little bit and get them a bit caramelly. And then sift in some flour. You know, basically we're making a roux, but it's got onion in it. Then some more water. And some more yeast extract and soy sauce. And seasoning. And that should go nice and thick and meaty. Okay, there's my finished gravy, and it tastes pretty good. So I'm just going to pop that in a bowl. And then mix in about half of this Quorn. So there we are, just mixy. Have a taste. Oh, it's lovely. So let that cool down, and while that's happening, we'll make some pastry. Right, last time I attempted to make a Greg's vegan steak slice copy, I got the pastry completely wrong. I convinced myself it was short crust pastry. Actually, it was flaky or puff pastry. So I'm going to make a rough puff, and with a difference. What I normally would use would be lard or dripping or butter, but for veganness, I'm using this weird stuff which is called crisp and dry, and somebody recommended this to me. Also, another brand you can use is Trex in the UK. So we need 250 grams of plain all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, just enough very cold water to make it come together into a dough, and 180 grams of fat, that crisp and dry or whatever. It's a blend of palm oil and rapeseed oil, canola oil. So yeah, weird stuff. Anyway, 180 grams divided, so you got 50 grams that will make the initial kind of pastry, and the rest of it will grate to form our lamination. Okay, so it's make the pastry. Add the teaspoon of salt to your flour and stir that in, and then the 50 grams I've cut into little cubes, and you want to rub those in with your fingertips till it looks like breadcrumbs. Okay, like that. Now add some water. Just under half a cup is what I use. That's about 100 ml. Well, it always used to work. A little bit more. And a little bit more. Right, let's finish the pastry. So you want plenty of flour on your worktop and the basic dough, and you want to roll that out into a longish rectangle that's about 3 times longer than it is wide. Now you want to spread half of the grated fat over the bottom 2/3 of the pastry. Try to get an even layer. It's not easy in here because it's a bit warm, and it's beginning to melt already. It's not great, but it'll have to do, because if I fiddle with it anymore, I'm melting it more and making it even more difficult. So fold the top third over the middle third, and then the bottom third over the middle third, and swizz it round 90 degrees and roll it out again into a rectangle 3 by 1, and then grate the remaining half of the fat over the bottom 2/3 again. Alright, that's the best I can do. It'll be alright, it'll kind of even out as I roll it and laminate it more. Just fold it in thirds again as before. Rotate 90 degrees and roll it, and fold it to 3, and at this point I am going to put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes to chill. Right, just keep on rolling, folding and turning. So that was 3 more turns, and I'm going to put that in the fridge now to rest for half an hour, because I think it needs to. Time to assemble our vegan steak slices. So there's the cool pastry, and actually I'll just put that half back in the fridge. So you want to roll it out to quite thin, about 3 or 4 millimeters. A bit less than 1/4 inch. I've straightened up that edge and trimmed off that edge, and now I know from when we did this before, they're 100ml by 115. Now the tops of the Greggs slices have this kind of lattice effect stamped into them, so I'm trying to reproduce that, just 3 slots cut with the end of the ruler. Okay, time to assemble a couple of our slices. Before we do that, you want to get your oven preheating to 190 Celsius if it's a fan oven. That's 210 for a conventional one, and that's gas 7. Right, now I've got my bottoms. I'm just wetting the edges with some water. It's easier to do this before you put the filling in. And our vegan beef filling stuff. Right, now grab a top and lay it on and press it around the edges. The last time I attempted this, I was almost in tears because I couldn't think of anything to glaze the pastry with, and it was unglazed. It was like a disaster. Well, it was a disaster. So Paul Ashton, thank you, and somebody else whose name I haven't written down, thank you also, suggested using aguafaba as the glaze. Now, if you don't know, aguafaba is the water that you get in a can of chickpeas, garbanzos. So not the garbanzos themselves, the water they're sitting in has magical egg-like properties. Okay, those go in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes, and I'll probably turn them around halfway through. Time's up, let's have a look. Oh yeah. Oh what, eh? Look at that. Cool. Well, I'm impressed. Okay, I mean these look pretty much like the real thing, but look at that. And now it's taste test time with me. This is KeefCooks.
Hey guys. Right
still
then.
A bit poorly.
Oh yeah, never mind. These look really good.
I know. I got them from Greggs.
Yeah, right. No, I mean it looks much better than last time. How did you get the sheen on them?
Aguafaba.
Bean water.
Correct. Garbanzo water, in fact. Chickpea water.
Oh wow!
It's magic.
Clever? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Because I don't know if you remember the last ones. They weren't pretty, were they?
They were rubbish.
That is lovely pastry.
It is actually. Really.
And you made this from scratch?
Yeah. Well, flour and fat and water.
Yeah, I know, but it's really light and fluffy and I like my pastry moist. I've never been a great fan of flaky pastry and stuff like this, but this is nice. And have you put the same mix in the sausage rolls? That nobody can see.
The sausage rolls aren't in this. So.
Okay. No, because there's a plan. Have you told them the plan?
No.
Okay.
Tell them the plan.
Every so often, Keef's yoga class has sort of tea time. Everybody brings some stuff in, and at least one person there is vegetarian, except when he brings a meat thing in. So, what we thought was, if he takes his vegetarian sausage rolls in tomorrow and doesn't say anything about what they are, and see how they go down, and then tell me. So,
yeah.
I tell you what, I like this.
Yeah.
I really, really like this.
Is it as good as Greggs? You can't
I don't know.
Can you?
I don't know. So, but it's an awful lot better than last time. That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That is very, very. Pastry's great. And the filling also. So, yeah, good thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, usually I'll say something's great. Keef will go, it's alright.
No.
Seriously likes this,
I'm
don't you?
impressed. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.